everything about this Cody Rhodes story just feels like they've taken different chapters from John Cena's story. Like Brock coming back night after Mania, Cena getting turned on night after Mania by Ryback, like little things like that popular baby faces and then getting turned on by Beast. Like all this stuff that happens, it all just feels like they're taking different beats from Cena's story and just putting them in the Cody story. And Kevin Patrick was very over and over again, hammering the point about he's got to have his, he's got to fall down and get himself back up. That's got to be a part of his story. His story's not done and all this stuff. And I get what you're saying. I didn't think it was an awful Raw, but I just felt like it was just a regular Raw.
Yeah, the opening was hot. Triple H came out there touting the success of WrestleMania and then doing the Raw speech. We're here together. Nothing's changing. It was changing backstage, sir, but you tried to hold it together. We're in this together. We're then now together forever. Woo! It's like he was trying to do like the Pollyanna. Everything is fine. There's no worries. It's a beautiful day in WWE. We're owned by another company right now, but we're trying to truck along. We're going to do what we got to do to remain the brand in sports entertainment. Of course, the opener was a lot of fun. And the tease tag team match of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa looked great on paper. But in the back of my mind, you got to think about this. When was the last time Brock worked a match on TV? That was since before he left WWE the first time, nearly 20 years ago. So I knew in the back of my head and my heart, he wasn't going to compete on Monday Night Raw. I could smell the turn a mile away. It was too jovial. He was too smiley towards Cody Rhodes. The handshake was a little bit too strong. They posed a little bit too much for me. I could smell a rat a mile away. And you are absolutely right about this John Cena narrative being pushed on Cody Rhodes. Doesn't work for me because Cody Rhodes is Cody Rhodes. He's not John Cena. He's his own entity, his own person, which I think a lot of people rally behind. He is a top merchandise seller for a reason. And I know they have this idea of him trying to overcome the adversities to finish a story, but I always say this. We go back to WrestleMania Night 2. We go back to his entrance. We go back to the main event. You get one shot to get this right. This isn't Bianca Belair when she reached the mountaintop back in 2021 against Sasha Banks and then loses to Becky Lynch. She was already there in the main event. She wins the big one. She loses, but she does make that climb back to the following WrestleMania. In the case of Cody Rhodes, you got the people loving him as much as they love him. They sing his song as loudly as possible. He gets tremendous pops. He's over as hell. You have an interest like that. You wear that outfit, which was just fly and everything. You have your wife, your daughter, your sister, your mom. You got little Brody Lee out there cheering you on. The fans are clamoring for this moment. You don't give it to them. So do you not capitalize on how over he is and then instead go with this long-term story, which could be good, but it's the John Cena trope that really wears down a babyface when you're trying to get them over to the next level, especially when he has not won the big one yet versus Cena, who's won the big one multiple times over, and therefore the booking can be a bit more forgivable, even though Super Cena at the time was still a problem.
So I'm coming around a little bit. I still think they missed the moment. I still think I agree with you. This was the crescendo. Owen, Sami Zayn coming in there, hitting their finishers. Cody hitting the bionic elbow, the 3 crossroads in a row. I think that was the crescendo mania. I agree. I get that. But I do think there is something to the element of Cody losing. The only problem is I think that's what's missing is he needed to reach that mountaintop. And I think what you brought up with Bianca Belair is a great example, because Bianca Belair was somebody that was on the come up, that everybody was aware that was on the come up, but nobody was really kind of expecting to, maybe people were picking her to win, but nobody was expecting her to not only have the coming out match she had with Sasha Banks, but to close out WrestleMania. I mean, and to make history at that. Like, that's something I tout on the show all the time when I talk about Bianca and just how great she is. And that was the first of her three-peats, and I think that's a great example because she reached that mountaintop. She closed out a WrestleMania. She main evented. She beat one of the biggest names in women's wrestling, proving that right now as she does her thing as Mercedes Moné, I think, and then she loses to Becky Lynch. She can take that bullet a little bit more because she's gotten a little bit more armor. She can. So I think that's a great example as far as Cody goes. But I am turning the corner with it, and I'm gonna stay on board because the story has been good. It hasn't been bad yet. Did they maybe miss the part where they should have ended the story? Maybe. Is this movie going on a little too long? Maybe. But they can still get me back in if that final act is as great as it needs to be. And I think Cody feuding with Brock Lesnar is a great way to get him back on track.
I do agree to a point that feuding with Brock is a great way to kind of get him back to where he needs to be. But the story is getting a little bit more complicated because you got the bloodline ongoing too. And that's another story that could have another finish that could be interesting as well, which we'll get to when we get to SmackDown. But, I'm kind of swayed to a little bit by Brock and Cody because it's going to be a great match. And Cody is obviously going to beat Brock when it counts most. It's just, I feel like WWE still missed the moment and you can't get it back. And yes, it'll be lovely that Roman Reigns will cross 1,000 days as champion. That is historic. That's beautiful. But I'm thinking about in the moment at WrestleMania and the people wanting this guy to win and he didn't win. And if you keep waiting and keep delaying, will that pop be even bigger or a bit diminished when it's all said and done? That's my concern because you only get one shot to get this right. It's not too late, but I feel like the peak was last Sunday, and I don't think WWE can get it back.
Not only that, but you start getting too close to that record, you might just need to go ahead and let Roman go ahead and break it. I mean, you get to 4 and 5 years, not saying I want him to, but if you get to that point, it's like, well, dag. I mean, at this point, we might as well just let you hold on to it, defend that every now and then, and just like, I get it, and I don't want him to get that long. It's getting to be about that time for him to lose it. They've always wanted to make SummerSlam the big moment. Maybe they make the big moment overseas. I wouldn't sleep on a Money in the Bank show. Like I just wouldn't sleep on that moment. The draft's coming up soon, so who knows what's going to happen with the titles there. So it's all going to be very interesting what they do, but I'm still on board with the Cody story. They haven't steered wrong yet. They haven't gotten anything wrong yet. They might have missed a shot, but they haven't lost the game yet.
No, there's still time left on the clock to get this right. I'm hoping that they do so. I trust Cody. He's got a big promo on Monday Night Raw. He's teasing his future in WWE. Don't leave your boot in the ring, son. Don't you do that.
Keila, somebody said on Twitter that WWE fans about to get introduced to the Codyverse.
Oh, God. Now, at the same time, Cody Luther King provided amazing Codyverse moments. He was the most compelling character to me during the final run he had in AEW. I was captivated by his performances despite how out there they were. My concern is we're going to be diving a little bit too far into that and the fans may say, what the fuck is this? But in WWE, it might work because he can finesse it a bit better, but we'll see about it. But if he leaves a boot in the ring, Cody, I will personally take your belt and find you and proverbially whoop your ass.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he can't do anything like that. Like that's ridiculous. Like that would be the most ridiculous thing that he could possibly do. My guess is he's gonna be like, I'm coming for the I'm coming back for the title. I'm challenging Brock or something like that. I don't know, because it all is kind of seeming like, yeah, I need to step away and be with my family for a while, and like, oh God. All right. I see. This is the range of emotions that you're talking about. This is the range, because now I'm just getting like depressed thinking about it. This dude's just gonna leave a boot in the ring, and everybody's gonna be like, okay, are you gonna come back and get your boots, dude? Like, are you gonna come back and get your boots? Like the WWE kids in the WWE artists are like, Dad, why did he leave his boots there? Is somebody going to come out and wear them? Is somebody borrowing them for the next match? Oh, God. Why did he leave his boots out there, Dad?
If he takes, okay, let's say this. If he wears his gear and he leaves his Highlander jacket in the ring.
This dude is gonna come out, take off his Highlander jacket, put his boots in the middle of the ring, stand on a podium he's got there, and read the "I Have a Dream" speech.